And we are back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Red Sea podcast. For those of you that are watching afterwards, perhaps, this is a retry of an episode. We got through about 20-ish minutes, and then, with the help of everyone, I realized that stuff was going very wrong. So now I've taken extra precautions to make sure that nothing's going wrong. And I've made sure that what was going wrong got fixed. So just a checkup that everything's fine. We'll take it from the top. So ignore the intro. Act like this is a new episode. For those of you that are indeed listening after, of course, welcome back. What I said in the original intro was the fact that we are going hi, hello to everyone tuning in. I hope that stuff is better now again, and I hope we can have a smooth show this time. What I did say in the original intro was that I'm not expecting to hit the hour mark today because I am not going to go ahead and talk about the Champions League. I am going to save that for Monday because I don't want to leave you all. Okay, I'm glad everything's fine. Let's hope it runs like that. It's a different camera. For those of you that are a bit confused, it's a different camera. That's why I'm going to be looking all over the place. I've changed something. We are going to do a Champions League preview on Monday after the playoff draw. We are not going to do it today. Today is going to be more general and transfer focused. That's about where we're going to land. And hopefully, as I said, we can do it smoothly. Thankfully, on try one, exactly. As I said over on socials in the announcement, whether it's an easy way, whether it's a hard way, RSP will always be here. The Red Sea podcast will always persist. Because of you guys, we've made it through heaven knows how much stuff, both for me personally and for the show itself. So the least I can do is try to give you all the best content that I can. Now, as I said last time, thankfully, try one, we didn't get through that much. We got through two topics that I'll go through once again in as much detail as possible. And the first one is this. The fact that Greece, for the first time a few days ago, lifted the World Cup after so many undeservingly and very unlucky lost finals. We finally did it with our boys signing the absolute unbeatable wall under the sticks in Georgiatos. Managed to guide Greece into this wonderful win, into this absolutely deserving win. The final, of course, against the superpower that is Hungary was nothing less than almost impossible, but our boys got an absolute beauty of a goal at 12 seconds after beautiful defense to go on and do it perfectly. It's an achievement that doesn't signal the end of anything. Perhaps it does signal the end of a cycle of a very rough period, but it does signal the beginning of something amazing. It signals the beginning of a great period for the national team, and it signals perhaps a run of one finals for once, maybe, hopefully. As our beloved coach said, we did it once. Why not do it again next year? And the next topic that we talked about, you're close. It's Georgiatos. You are very close. He's a beast. The guy is a monster. And there is no proper words to actually go on and describe everything that this man does and everything this man says, right? And the second topic that maybe the second time I'm going through it, I will get emotional, is the final goodbye of Mathieu Valbuena. Of course, the madman didn't retire because why would he? Mathieu Valbuena has moved to, as unbelievable as it is still to say, the second division of Malta. Mathieu Valbuena, of course, will always be connected in a legendary way to Olympiacos. Moments unbelievable. Perhaps some of the most iconic celebrations we have ever seen. Perhaps some of the most incredible magic we've seen on the field. Talent plenty, prestige plenty, and everything in between. And that mainly is the reason that I pointed out how special the bond between Olympiacos and Mathieu is, because Mathieu didn't come back to lead the first team of Olympiacos. Mathieu came back for a year to not only wear the sacred, the unbelievable, and I just noticed that something's missing. This is what happens, ladies and gents, when people restart. I forgot to put this on. Mathieu came back to be the focal point of the B team's restructuring, to help a wonderful generation of players come up, to give advice, to be around them, to be the leader of that team, the veteran of that team, to be the true definition of a locker room leader. And he's leaving an even bigger legend than before, because Mathieu Valbuena has once again proved that football is bigger than anything, that experiences are bigger than anything, and that he himself is gonna do absolutely everything to make sure that the magic of football will always stay alive. And I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, of course, there is the connected Valbuena Academy, both the actual academy and the women's team that Olympiacos Women's Football Club faced this season in the bouts for promotion as well. And I'm sure he'll be back in a different way as well. He'll always have Olympiacos with him. He'll always be one of the biggest legends that I've personally seen. And his name will always be written in golden letters in the history books of Olympiacos. Yes, iconic photo. Iconic photo. Valbuena with the La Casa de Papel mask on one hand and the trophy on the other. Iconic photo. Another iconic photo I can name is the celebration in the Emirates back when that wonderful win happened. The photo on the bus, the photo when he's on the driver's seat of the bus with sunglasses, a backwards hat, and a bottle of champagne in his hand. That whole fiesta with the champagne gun. There's so many moments off the field as well, but what does indeed make it one of the most unpleasant departures in Olympiacos history, the definition of bittersweet, is the fact that we'll never see another Mathieu Valbuena. Cycles end, chapters close, but this one certainly one of one, and this one is certainly legendary. That's the best way to describe it. Now, on to the more prevalent stuff, on to the more current stuff. Mehdi Taremi. This is about where the show that I nuked immediately got cut off. Mehdi Taremi, the man that has been surrounded with a lot of interest in his name. Of course, we've known for a while that Mehdi is probably going to be the player that leaves Olympiacos in regards to the center forwards. Mehdi, through his agents, has basically reportedly said that there will be offers on Olympiacos' front door, on Olympiacos' desk, to see what happens. The first and the the most consistent offer was that of Vasco da Gama. Reported interest about 2 days ago in regards to Mehdi Taremi from the Brazilian side, but that got cut off quite quickly, given that Mehdi himself doesn't want to play in Brazil, which on one hand understandable, on the other we'll see what happens. And the new name that popped up today is Persepolis, a team from Mehdi's home country. Of course, if I'm not mistaken, actually, let me take a Google at that because I don't want to mess that up. Persepolis is an Iranian team. I almost just flabbered that completely. But I don't know, honestly. It's a bit of a different case to Vasco because we are talking about the man's home. But I'm not sure that Mehdi wants to leave Europe yet. Because if we go back to last summer, Mehdi had a lot of offers from around Europe. There was Eindhoven, there was Lyon, and a lot more teams. But we'll see. My personal opinion, I've said this before, I'll say it again, is the fact that I think it's the best for both parties for Mehdi to leave Olympiacos. And why do I say that? Because I've been called biased before. I'm not slandering the player, Mehdi. I just think that half the season showed that it's not going to work here. Mehdi Taremi is class. Mehdi is a legend of football. I'll get to that. Mehdi is a legend of football that's indisputable. Like, come on. But I think it's the best case scenario, especially with a year left on the Iranian's contract, for a solution to be found. And of course, that ties in immediately with the situation of Roman Yaremchuk. I do believe that Roman Yaremchuk will stay at Olympiacos. I think the case of Roman Yaremchuk and the case of Mehdi will connect directly. And I think that if we end up with a sale in regards to Mehdi Taremi, we will see a much more hardworking, a much more invested Roman Yaremchuk, and maybe, I'm not going to say for sure, we'll see the Roman Yaremchuk of the season of the double. The Roman Yaremchuk we all know and love. So I am still gonna just hold that opinion. The fact that I do believe Roman Yaremchuk will and should stay. And then we should see who the third person, not necessarily third in the hierarchy, but who the third person in that partnership up front is going to be. Because I feel like with a good Yaremchuk, El Kabi will be pushed to be even better, of course, and we can just put that final piece of the puzzle up there quite perfectly, in my opinion. But honestly, we'll see. Just let Clayton live. Look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Clayton just was never going to work here. Clayton was seemingly not wanted by the coach. Clayton seemingly again doesn't want to be here. We're talking about a striker that was tearing it up in the Portuguese league. He's not a bad player, but it's never going to work here. He's injured. He's going to be off the qualifiers list, and I am expecting him to be gone probably by the start of the Super League season. Other than that, we will see. But he's going to go. That's for sure. I would be utterly shocked if Clayton didn't leave in one way or another this transfer window. I would be very, very shocked. What's going on with the cases of Petar Stanic and Salah-eddine? I'll get to those, actually, because we have a lot to talk about. Before I get to the more uncertain ones, though, I do want to keep going with the certain cases. And one more of those, of course, is the other man that came from Portugal in January and never really fit here. And that, of course, is Andre Luiz. We've known for a minute that there was strong interest from Sporting KC, from Wolverhampton Wanderers, and from Benfica. I think Benfica was more a name to be mentioned, and I think the two strongest contenders for the player was Sporting KC and Championship side Wolves. Of course, the player did end up going, even though still unofficially, but the player will end up going to Sporting KC for a fee, of course, that didn't really reach that last reported 24 million, but a fee that looks a lot like what we said originally, and that fee was 16 million upfront plus 3.5 million in bonuses, which of course brings up the total transfer fee into the third biggest sale in Olympiacos' history and 19.5 million. I've heard a lot about Andre Luiz. I've said a lot about Andre Luiz. In the end, it's a player that didn't work out. It's the best case for both parties for him to go as well. But it opens up a new spot for a winger to come in. And we need to make sure there is a lot of wingers on Olympiacos' list, but we need to make sure that the man we bring in will be a proven certainty and not a risk. We didn't sell Andre Luiz, we sold prime Ronaldinho. With that price, almost. I don't know what it is with MLS clubs. I've said this before. Mr. Marinakis has some sort of magic on those deals. Olympiacos does some transfer work way better than we give them credit for, like just to say everything, both positives and negatives. Because if you remember, last year we sold Christopher Velde with an insane fee. We've sold Pep Biel to the MLS for an insane fee. It's insane. It's a special deal, as it seems. But yeah, if anyone says that this deal isn't beneficial, I mean, come on. Who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? And as I said, I want to keep going with the certainties. And that, of course, is the announcement of Stefan Ortega. Now, long convo. We were talking about goalkeepers, and I said that I would prefer José Sa. And I want to stand on that a bit and analyze it just for the next few minutes and say that my preference on José Sa was given with the parameter that we were quote unquote rejected by Stefan Ortega. So I had in my mind that perhaps Stefan doesn't really see Greece as an ideal opportunity. Maybe, perhaps Stefan didn't see Greece as a perfect destination, because I'm sorry, but whoever comes to Olympiacos needs to see it as a perfect destination and to give it their all. That stands for me in any case. But Stefan Ortega did come here, and it really looks like Stefan Ortega came here with a purpose. He looks like a man on a mission. Like from without, I'm back. And the camera froze for a moment, but I'm back. For the first statements he made about the club, he mentioned how big the club is. He mentioned how great the fans are, how he can't wait to play for the atmosphere, which, yeah, it's the classic stuff to say, but he did give an analysis on how he knows the club, how the contact went, why he's here, the fact that he believes he can give a lot to the club, the necessity of winning everything, as we should, especially coming off a season like that, and the importance of everything starting next Tuesday against Nijmegen. I don't know if he'll play next Tuesday. I'm not sure. I had this convo with a friend, I did say that I would start Stefan Ortega either way, but I wouldn't be that shocked if the first game has a starting Balsa Popovic. But I am way more hopeful about the transfer of Stefan Ortega than I was seeing it in hindsight, of course. I am just a bit hesitant still, and I do want to wait to say that on the field, because the biggest positives of Stefan Ortega was a majority choice for this team, a priority choice even for this team, because of how amazing he is with the ball at his feet. Stefan Ortega is incredible with the ball at his feet. Like, you can't take that away. But what he doesn't have, mind you, he does make up for it on one-on-one situations. He's very good, but he doesn't really exit like Zolakis did, which may prove to be a necessity in changing our style. So I don't know how that will go. I want to see that on the field. But aside from that, we are, of course, talking about a player that is a Champions League and Premier League winner, as the comment says, which on merit style and on prestige style, it says a lot. It does really say a lot. But we need to keep in mind the career of Stefan Ortega in general. Of course, mind you, I'm looking to my left because of my notes. Of course, this man, as we said, is great with the ball at his feet. He has great distribution, which, honestly, don't be that shocked if we finish the season and Stefan Ortega has like 2, maybe 3 assists to his name. Don't be totally shocked. If that happens, he has a very good, as he said himself, one of his biggest positives, and as we said a bit ago, is the one-on-one shot stopping. Of course, the man started his career with Armenia Bielefeld. He did move to 1860 Munich. Then in 2022, he signed as a free agent to back up the unbelievable Ederson, and he stepped in for City at the point where Ederson was injured for a while. He had a legendary, I think it fits given his hair, a save that would forever and will forever be remembered like the goal of the year. Of course, I'm talking about the save that created one of the most legendary clips in English football, and I am talking about the save against Son Heung-min in May of 2024. Of course, he did have his stint at Nottingham. He helped them reach the Europa League semi-finals, making those crucial appearances in Europe, but of course didn't stay. And now he's here. He's here, as I said, to prove a point, to prove that he can lead the team as a starting goalkeeper, not just be a starting goalkeeper. And that's another main thing that people fail to mention, in my opinion. And even I failed to mention it last time. This man has a quality that not many goalkeepers have. Kostadis had it from a very young age, but it is different when you are a veteran like Stefan Ortega, we have a veteran that can keep up in the highest level still, but that's a locker room leader. And from that, I think that both Balsa Popovic especially, and even Dimitris Tournaras will benefit from having Stefan Ortega in front of them a lot. And as I said, you think Ortega will start on the 11 in the qualifiers? I'm sure about the second game. For that, I'm sure. I think I would want him to start in the first game as well. But I think that in the first game, on the 4th, we will see Balsa Popovic start. Of course, that's not sure. That's not a certainty. But I think that that's where we're heading. And this is a comment that breaks my heart because we do have to talk about it. No matter how good Stefan Ortega is, the departure of Konstantinos Zoulakis hurts. And good is that an understatement. For those of you that don't know, I am 22. I have been watching football ever since I was probably 8. Of course, my main memories are with the man himself, with Gustavo Sa. I've seen a lot of people, but the rise of Konstantinos Zoulakis, the rise to greatness, is something I always admired, and I think we all did, no matter the age. I will bring up a conversation I had about a year ago now, saying that Zoulakis is the best position for position player that Olympiacos has ever had. I brought this up last episode as well, but I didn't care. It's Zoulakis. And I still agree with that statement. And I would even go on further and say that if not the, Zoulakis is one of the best goalkeepers that Olympiacos has ever seen. A kid that came up, I still remember, I think it was his debut against PAOK in Tuba with that penalty shootout, that insane penalty shootout. Talk about the being thrown in the test of fire, like immediately. A kid that's won it all, that will forever leave behind memories like that night in Turkey against Fenerbahce, where he literally ended the career of Leonardo Bonucci. And I will keep on reminding people that after that game, that summer, Leonardo Bonucci retired from professional football. And as much as it is, this isn't even bittersweet. This is just bitter. This is heartbreaking to talk about. This is very heartbreaking to talk about. I think there is no one that will not follow Zoulakis, not support Zoulakis, and I can't wait to see what he does with Hull City. As much as it pains me that he will be there for many reasons, I cannot wait to see what Konstantinos Zoulakis does with Hull City. And honestly, it's exactly. Zoulakis is not just a great factor. Zoulakis is a focal point of our modern history. We probably don't win the Conference League if it's not for Zoulakis. The season of the double probably doesn't go like that if it's not for Zoulakis. As much as he will always be above that category. He is a main part of that legendary 11 of the Conference League, and his levels above, because he's one of the most legendary players the Olympiacos Academy will ever produce. That's a given. That doesn't change for anybody. But it's crazy that despite Giolakis' departure, we built a great wall in our goal with 3 amazing goalkeepers. Now, I was going to talk about that, so great segue, actually. Don't crucify me here. It's probably an unpopular opinion. I think that despite the blow of Kostas Giolakis leaving, the bench choices are an upgrade on last year. Balsa Popovic is an upgrade on our Superman, because I don't want to disrespect the man. He gave a lot to this team. He loves this team. Not because he is a better player than Paschalakis, but Paschalakis is nearing the end of his career. Balsa is 25. He's not a wonder kid by any means. But in regards to a goalkeeper, Balsa Popovic is still very young. And then you have Dimitris Tournaras, who perhaps isn't the talent that Nikos Boutis is, because I personally still am bitter about Nikos Boutis leaving. But I do know that Olympiacos will have the first word in regards to both Nikos Boutis and Alexis Kalogeropoulos. I do believe Nikos Boutis will turn into an incredible goalkeeper, but Dimitris Tournaras is one of our own. He deserves to be here. For sure he deserves to be here. And he's a more proven choice. Let's not forget that tackle against Bodo. Thank you. I knew I was forgetting something recent. Technically, Kostas Giolakis, along with Roman Yaremchuk, are the main reasons why in the season past we got automatic Champions League, which also is such a massive thing for so many reasons. Honestly, it's insane. Balsa Popovic can easily be the first choice. Now, no. I don't know if you mean he's interchangeable with Stefan Ortega. With that, I disagree. But I think the aim, and I think in a way, thinking about it, that's why Stefan Ortega, it's another reason why we brought a veteran. I think in probably 2 years, not 1, I think Balsa Popovic is projected to be the next starting goalkeeper of Olympiacos. He will be entering his peak. He will be 27. And I do think Balsa Popovic is indeed projected to be the next starter. But now what matters is that he has a great veteran in front of him. And what I do want to point out is the fact that, yeah, it's not Giolakis. Giolakis is probably top 25 in the world. I don't think that's crazy to say. Outside the top 5 keepers, Giolakis was, even statistically, the most ready to play in a top 5 league. I would sit here and argue that he is better than a majority of Premier League goalkeepers. Like, I can name probably on one hand Premier League goalkeepers that are better than him right now. and again, up for discussion for sure. And the same goes for the rest of the top 5 leagues. But Balsa Popovic has potential. That's the main thing. And with Stefan Ortega, that potential will be unlocked and for sure improved. For sure. Now, moving forward, we have this. God, what a divisive transfer that was. The man that arrived today along with Stefan Ortega is Gustavo Sa. Perhaps a different Sa than expected a few days ago. But Gustavo Sa is here. He will be an Olympiacos player on loan from Nottingham Forest. We are talking about arguably the biggest talent in the Portuguese league, captaining FC Famalicão at 21. He is the definition of a breakthrough prodigy. He is the youngest player, because I haven't heard a lot of people mention that. He is the youngest player to reach 100 top flight matches in Liga Portugal. I don't know how people skip over that. And of course, he went to Nottingham for an insane fee of 20 million euros, and he is loaned out to Olympiacos for the next year. I've seen the reports, the complaints that Gustavo Sa will leave for Nottingham in January. And I will point out the thing that I did last time as well. When have we loaned in anybody for 6 months? And why would it happen now? Those reports were as fake as it gets. And I can assure you that at least for a season, Gustavo Sa will be wearing the legendary red and white. That I don't know how people doubt that. Of course, Sa can play mainly the 10, but he can also play the 8 when needed. He did say that he will play wherever Mendy wants him to play, and he will do whatever Mendy wants him to do on the field. He has broken through the academy, the prestigious academy of FC Porto. And honestly, a massive focal point of Famalicão, hence the captaincy as well. Last season, he had 4 goals and 3 assists in 33 appearances. He is standing at a very impressive, especially for an attacking midfielder, 6'2". He has aerial authority, honestly, and he is that player that we were seeking. He is that player that we were seeking to help play through the middle. Of course, he is not a perfect player. He is not a perfect player, as no one expects him to be a perfect player at 21. Like, in perspective, this kid's a year younger than me. I don't think anyone really expects him to be perfect, but I think everyone expects him to shine like the wonder kid he truly and rightfully is. I can't either. This player has so much potential indeed, and I truly can't wait to see him on the pitch wearing the red and white. Now, time to go back to an earlier question and time to talk about what is seemingly, at least, I don't know if anything new, if anything else has popped up, but what at least seems to be something very close to a done deal. Of course, I am talking about the Moroccan left back that was at the World Cup, that did represent Roma. He's a left back slash left wing back, the 24-year-old. Of course, I am still thinking that I will mess up this guy's name, so I apologize until I properly learn it, which I will. Anas Salah-eddine, the man that has played for very, very impressive teams, of course, standing for Roma in February of 2025 for 8.5 million, as he has a contract until 2028 with the Italian side. And to ensure he played consistently, he was loaned to PSV Eindhoven. And of course, PSV Eindhoven were crowned champions last season, which is something to really not skip. He had 17 appearances for PSV in the Eredivisie. He had 7 appearances for PSV in the Champions League, and he had 4 appearances in the World Cup that just passed. Of course, he was part of the squad that played in the last AFCON, and I am excited. He is a 2-time champion of the Eredivisie, as he was part of the 21-22 side of Ajax, and that comment is spot on as it gets, because we did see this man play in the Champions League. Yes, he was a part of the Eindhoven squad, as mentioned, so he has played against us, and he did, if I remember correctly, at the very least, he did put in a very, very good shift at left back. Of course, this transfer ties in with the Francisco Ortega thing, and his now probably inevitable move to River Plate. Of course, that move needs to happen fast, because the Argentinians have a way shorter transfer window than we do. Let me actually make sure before I spread misinformation. I'm pretty sure that transfers in Argentina end on the 31st of July. I do want to check that out, just in case I am wrong. Yes, the technically winter transfer window for Argentina ends on Friday, July 31st. Of course, it ended on July 21st, but it got an extension because of the previous World Cup. So the Argentinian side wants to get the transfer of Francisco Ortega done as fast as possible, and it really looks like we are going to have the addition of the Moroccan, and we are going to say goodbye after years to the Argentinian left back. And as I said, honestly, excited. Very, very excited. Now, I do want to move off football for a quick second. Before I move off football, I agree fully. Moroccan footballer at Olympiacos, what can go wrong? I think a lot of things can only go right. But what I did want to mention, it's been a minute since we talked about basketball, is that the EuroLeague schedule is finally out. And as was to be expected, stuff's looking a bit weird for Olympiacos, given that there was the request and the subject of the new stadium. We once again, same as last year, open on the 24th of September against Baskonia, then follow the away games against Zalgiris and Virtus Bologna. Then it's a quote-unquote home game against Anadolu Efes. Then it's Valencia and Barcelona, both in Spain. And then, of course, we have Fener, Besiktas, and I do want to skip to the game on around 16 on the 11th of December, which is our first visit back to the B Center. Our first visit back to the scene of the crime, the Panathinaikos Stadium. Of course, we play Panathinaikos away on December 11th, and we go ahead and play Panathinaikos at home on the 12th of February. So the games are quite close together. You can't say that they aren't. Let's bring the fifth home. I presented it a bit differently. Of course, I want to say let's bring the fifth home, but I presented it as let's defend our title because we deserve to defend our title. We look scary already, and I did get a question about transfers. I'll get into it in a second. Yeah, first game against Baskonia away, it reminds me of something. It reminds me of something as well. And honestly, I'm more excited than I was last year. I'm not nervous. I'm not nothing. I'm so excited. I want to see play for Olympiacos. I want to see everyone play again. Feel like an addict. Honestly, I feel like we all do. Missing this team so much. When are we going to play in the new CEF? That's the question I was going to get into. I do not know. Not yet, actually. There is a bit of trouble going on. We'll see what happens. I feel like you all know who is causing the trouble. I don't really need to mention it. I don't need to mention him. You know who I'm talking about. But I'm not expecting stuff to get delayed at all, perhaps even minimally. So I am expecting Olympiacos to be at the new CEF. Worst case scenario in December. I don't think it's gonna go further than that. We do play Panathinaikos at home in our second home, as I said, the B Center in December also. I can't wait to see anyone play at the new CEF. I can't wait to see Fournier. I feel like Fournier, with the energy the new stadium will drop like 40. Honestly, I feel like we'll see so many career highs this season. Also, Montero for sure. I can't wait to see Cody Miller-McIntyre play for Olympiacos because that transfer has gone so under the radar, and I can't wait for everyone to be so shocked. I honestly can't wait. I did get asked about transfers. I think that Olympiacos want to fully get done with the cases of Tyler Dorsey and Thomas Walkup. I have no further updates. on that. Last time we talked about it, I was gonna honestly expect Tyler Dorsey to renew and Thomas Walkup to go. I still think Tyler renews. I'm not sure that Thomas Walkup will go. I applaud the team for how they're handling a case in which they got so disrespected at. So we'll see what happens. It looks like Dubai has pulled out of the race for Thomas Walkup as they were only willing to cover his needs and not Olympiacos', which is ironic for money bags Dubai, but that's a whole different story. So we'll see what happens with Thomas Walkup. I do expect him to go. Still, I don't know where, but I do expect him to go. And after that, I do believe we will go for two players. I believe we'll go for a clear 3 and the twinner between the 4 and 5. I feel like that's how the team will move without knowing anything certainly. I feel like that's how it will go. And honestly, this comment is so fair. The new chef will bring the best team in Europe aura. I think it's what I've been screaming about. With the old stadium, you had the best fans in Europe not being able to fully give a home court advantage. Now that the home court advantage will be better than ever, it will have best team and best fans in Europe written all around the stadium. I think Thomas Walkup will stay. I disagree. I don't think there is any way Thomas is going to stay. I think that the team will figure something out for him to go. And it sadly is fully on Thomas. Just look at how differently him and Dorsey have treated their renewals. I don't need to say much more. I really don't. Look at how differently stuff is being treated. And honestly, in this world, in any department, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. I'm not saying it's impossible for Thomas Walkup to stay. I just don't think there is a way, as things stand on late July, on a random night. I don't think that Thomas Walkup can stay at Olympiacos. But even if he does stay, I hope he learns his lesson in ways only the team can truly provide. The better is for him to go, I agree. I agree that the better scenario is for him to go. I truly do. And the only thing that I want to close off with before I thank you is the second transfer in the women's football department, and that's 23-year-old Anna Maria Panayotopoulou. The goalkeeper that signed with Olympiacos comes in with great potential to help the team climb up to the levels which the team deserves to be, which is the Alpha Ethniki. Of course, she comes from a lengthy career at AEK Messolongi, where she solidified herself, and then she was playing for the past 4 years at AO Trikallon. And now she's here. She's gonna be guarding the red and white, and gonna be, I'm sure, another focal point in the team's impending promotion. Of course, she's an international with our academies, the under-17s and under-19s, and I am so excited to see her, as I am the rest of the team. And as we are somehow closing in on an hour, let me check out the last comment. I think that the best for him is to go, but I don't think Thomas World Cup will leave this year. I would be very surprised if he stayed. At this rate, I would be very shocked if Thomas World Cup played for Olympiacos next season. But even if he does, I assure you, it's not going to be the same. It's really not going to be the same. We have a lot more pieces now, and I think Thomas will be hit with a reality check. I think that we have found Konstantinos Zolakis for Olympiacos WFC. I hope that Anna Maria is incredible, but don't forget goalkeepers we already have. Don't forget the incredible squad that is still here. Because what people forget about the WFC is that last year's team was easily going to get promoted to the Alpha Ethniki this season. And the fact that that team is getting stronger looks like we are points towards building a squad that will be promoted and immediately gun for the title. And that's what we should be expecting this and next season. Slowly but surely finishing up, I want to thank you all because we managed to turn a chaotic show into probably the best show in a while. So that's only that you guys can do. That's only something you guys can do. I'm convinced that's only something you guys can do. And I assure you that I'm finishing up some details about some stuff. And August will be very fun. As always, thank you all. And I will see you all in the next one.